We're all familiar with cars like the Toyota Camry and the Ford F-150 being massive sales successes. There are some cars, however, that completely missed the mark, eventually becoming massive automotive flops, far underperforming the manufacturer's sales expectations. I'm Jeff, this is Modern Muscle, and today here are 7 cars that were massive sales flops, aka nobody bought them. The Pontiac Aztek. A car that played a major role in Pontiac's demise was definitely the Aztek, a strange-looking SUV built from 2000 to 2005. Its glaring design was the biggest issue with this car, and despite its functionality, its ugliness is what drove this car to the rock bottom of US sales figures. With features such as a built-in camper tent, bicycle and snowboard racks, the Aztek was supposed to speak to adventurers. Widely considered as one of the ugliest cars ever built, the Aztek was a huge flop, despite actually being a pretty decent car. Many people argue that the Aztek failed because the market wasn't ready for something new, but we believe that it was just about a bland execution of the amazing 1999 concept. Its appearance in Breaking Bad earned it a dose of ironic popularity today, but sadly Pontiac isn't with us anymore. The Chevy SSR. In the midst of the mid-2000s retro craze, Chevy's development team came up with the crazy idea to produce a nostalgic 2-seater convertible pickup with a muscle car performance and a $42,000 starting price. The result was the SSR, a vehicle that looked unlike any other car on the market, which a lot of people didn't like. The 1950s inspired design didn't work so well for most, so the SSR was considered ugly as fuck. The idea behind this lifestyle pickup was that it would attract younger buyers, but it quickly turned out that it mostly appealed to aging baby boomers. This made it even more uncool, despite the fact that it packed 300 or even 390 horses from the LS2 V8 engine. Despite many efforts to make the SSR appealing to a younger audience, Chevy managed to sell just around 24,000 of these oddballs, in a painful realization that they needed more than simply a wild imagination to make that concept work. The DeLorean DMC12. One of the most famous and also most spectacular car flops in history was John DeLorean's personal project called the DMC12. The ex-GM executive behind the Pontiac GTO wanted to make his own flamboyant sports car with the brushed stainless steel body and gull-wing doors, but the project was plagued from the very start. First of all, DeLorean chose the worst time to build a sports car, smack dab in the middle of a recession. Next, the car ended up with a rather disappointing V6 engine. And finally, there were a lot of early quality issues since the car was being built by inexperienced workers. The DMC-12 was produced from 1981 to 1983, but the company eventually went bankrupt, and its founder, John DeLorean, was arrested with large quantities of cocaine, which he planned to resell in order to save it from closing its doors. And yes, I'm dead serious, this actually happened. Despite all its flaws and poor reception, the DeLorean DMC-12 became an automotive legend thanks to the Back to the Future movies. The Fisker Karma. The Fisker Karma seems so promising. The first production car from the startup company created by legendary designer Hendrik Fisker, it was gorgeous, full of futuristic tech, and one of the first plug-in hybrids to hit the market in the US. The Karma had 2 electric motors and a turbocharged 2-liter Ecotec 4-cylinder source from General Motors. And this electric car actually produced 400 horsepower, allowing it to hit 60 miles per hour in just 6.2 seconds. That's not bad for a car weighing 5,300 pounds. Too bad its fuel efficiency, you know the whole reason why you get an electric car in the first place, fell woefully short of expectations. The Karma averaged only 24 miles per gallon, 10 miles per gallon less than the Chevy Volt that beat the Fisker in a 2012 comparison test. The Chevy even beat the Karma's electric-only driving range by 2 miles despite being a smaller battery pack, not to mention offering superior powertrain refinement. And did we mention that the Karma is also expensive, with a base price close to $100,000. After some battery recalls, more than a dozen fires, and the halting of production in 2012, Fisker finally went bankrupt in late 2013. Only 2,400 Karmas were built in total, though the car has recently been reborn as the Reveo, under the Chinese-run Karma Automotive brand, which snapped up Fisker's assets post-bankruptcy. Any bets on how that venture will go? The Volkswagen Phaeton. Who wouldn't expect a brand whose name literally means people's car to enter market segments such as ultra-luxury limousines? Built as a halo model as well as the foundation for the Bentley Continental Flying Spur sedan, the VW Phaeton was a flop from the very beginning and a missed opportunity. The market really wasn't ready for a brand that gained fame on affordable models to introduce a luxurious land barge. But the Phaeton failed worldwide despite it being a fantastic car. As much as it was a flop, it was also a missed opportunity. Imagine it being marketed as an Audi A10, for example. Sound a little bit more reasonable? Yeah, it does. But VW didn't think so, killing the brilliant Phaeton in the process. But hey, at least their failure gave us one of the best affordable luxury sedans on the secondhand market, the Cadillac XLR. On paper, the Cadillac XLR seemed like a no-brainer. What luxury brand can do without a glamorous two-seat folding hardtop convertible? The Cadillac XLR would be based on none other than the Chevy Corvette, the first and likely last time General Motors had ever spun off another car off its sports car platform. The XLR does have an impressive powertrain, handling, and interior, and was often compared with the Mercedes SL. A performance model called the XLR-V was introduced in 2006, packing a supercharged version of the XLR's Northstar V8 engine. Despite its $100,000 price, when compared to other convertibles in its class, this car always came dead last. A very mild facelift didn't change how quickly the XLR aged, and it was finally killed in 2009 after sales declined drastically. Cadillac sold around 3,500 cars per year for the first few years of production, well below its 5,000 to 7,000 per year estimate, and sales sank to just 1,750 in 2007 and 1,250 in 2008. In total, only 15,460 XLRs were built, and there's no sign that Cadillac will be coming up with a Corvette-based successor, or any sports car for that matter, anytime soon. The Hummer brand. Hummer wasn't a failure until it was, and as ridiculous as that may sound, it's really true. The Hummer brand did well by General Motors throughout the 1990s and into the early 2000s, particularly as customers began flocking to SUVs. The entire brand was focused around the macho, survivalist, ready-for-anything image of the H1, which was built for military use and donated its round headlights and Jeep-like grille to the Chevy Tahoe-based glitzed-up H2. That model stuck around long enough for it to see itself become a pariah, as fuel prices skyrocketed in 2007, and the smaller Chevy Colorado-based H3 SUV and pickup models didn't help the brand's slumping optics. While an extreme example, the Hummer stands as a cautionary tale for car manufacturers who think hitching their fortunes solely to large trucks and SUVs is a good idea. The Maybach 57 and 62. Historically speaking, Mercedes has never made a market mistake, at least until they decided to revive the Maybach brand. Built to compete with BMW's revitalized Rolls-Royce Phantom and the Bentley Continental Flying Spur owned by VW, the urban luxurious Maybach was a revival of the long-defunct German manufacturer. With the name Maybach familiar only to true automotive connoisseurs, this was the first step towards its demise. Next, both models look exactly like an S-Class, only bigger, a bit more luxurious, and that they cost over $200,000, a whole lot costlier. Of course, the lack of brand recognition and an uncanny similarity to a mass-produced model didn't do so well with the world's wealthiest buyers, so production was finally halted in 2013, after years of disappointing sales figures. The Lincoln Blackwood. Although pickups have become as luxurious as SUVs or premium sedans, their main selling point is still functionality. Back in 2002, when the Blackwood was introduced, pickups weren't that big on luxury, and even today they still aren't. And Lincoln completely forgot about the functionality part, causing it to completely flop. The Blackwood was based on the F-150's underpinnings, with looks inspired by the much more popular Navigator SUV, and it was only available in a black double cab configuration. Lack of versatility, and the virtually unusable covered truck bed, and a huge price tag of $53,000 killed the first Lincoln pickup very quickly. The model sold for only 1 year, with just 3,300 trucks actually being built. The Fiat 500L. Fiat's return to US soil was marked by several models such as the 500 City Car, the 124 Roadster, and its rather fantastic sporty Abarth versions. Then there was the 500L, a car that failed to establish itself in the compact crossover class in Europe, and most importantly in America. The 500L was to compete with the Mini Countryman, but unlike this retro crossover, it couldn't offer any performance, driving feel, or any form of excitement. Fiat had to be much better in order to conquer the American market, but they failed because the 500L was the worst selling car in the segment for years. The 500L is still in production due to somewhat better sales figures in Europe, but is slowly becoming replaced by the more exciting 500X. Well guys, those are cars that were massive sales flops. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you like what you see at the channel, subscribe and put post notifications on. You could also follow me on Instagram at Modern Muscle YT. We also just launched our brand new Patreon. If you guys like the channel, want to support it more, want exclusive content, have your name displayed in each video, go to patreon.com/modernmuscle and sign up. And until next time, peace.